Ah, Cathay, a beautiful, rich and peaceful land. It's so nice, I would like to live there. Or loot it. Arr! Ahoy, me hearties! This is Phoenix, and today we are going to set out from Cathay to circumnavigate the globe in a wonderful fantasy world of Total War Warhammer 3. It will be a beautiful journey where we will make friends, get to know new people, learn about cute animals we have never seen, and find the one no, sorry, wrong script. I meant we will get riches, yes, riches. But alright, with that being said, it's time to introduce today's protagonist. Belonging to the calm and peace-loving race of the Dark Elves, though I got to admit they seem to be interested in BDSM a bit too much, our protagonist for today is Lockyer Fellhart, who happens to be a pirate nerd that likes to cosplay as Davy Jones, and who leads a group of like-minded friends who happen to be the only group of Dark Elves capable of hardcore pirate roleplay due to their unique ability to recruit black arcs in every major port they own. And that's without having to suck up to guts with a 25-turn cooldown and still have to pay money. Now, without further ado, it's time to start Lockyer's journey. My bad, this is the one. And what we are going to do is circumnavigate the whole thing. All while paying friendly visits to various locals and exchanging gifts with them. The place that deserves a special mention is this area, which I have added using a mod, so that we can meet and befriend more people. But for now, let's focus on our starting area, Cathay, which is totally not China.
China?
As previously mentioned, it's a beautiful land inhabited by totally not Chinese blind people, totally not Chinese, actually not alive people, actually not Chinese, actually not people, tourists who fell in love with local food, actually not Chinese, actually not people who have come here for camping, actually not Chinese, totally people from the West coming here for a cultural exchange, and some furry ninja otakus? But why the hell did they choose rat fursuits? But enough about the cast of the show, it's time to start our journey. Originally, I wanted to use just black arcs and abandon all cities. Unfortunately, there's a small, tiny, weeny bit of an issue with this. If I get rid of all cities, all armies will take attrition. And while black arcs can have armies, we can't just abandon our protagonist, right? And even if I only have a single black arc, the troops won't heal after battles in almost all sea areas. However, there are ways to go around it. As long as we take down a city, we can heal in it. So, all we need to do is to just abandon the settlement after we heal and leave. Still, I wanted to send a large fleet around the world, and for that we will need a bunch of ports. Meanwhile, despite the good unique building, I don't want to waste my time and effort on defending my original land, and pirates should be based on some remote islands anyway, so I will not hold any territory in Cathay, and we will briefly send Lockyer on vacation. Well, Lockyer, whose second name is actually Karen, came wanting to talk to the manager, but I first gathered some archers to help persuade him with some arguments he couldn't resist. Now, before we start the journey for real, we need to make preparations. We sack our first settlement, which happens to be in a chaotic version of Korea, and use the time we spent healing to recruit an army. The next part is simple. We go south to create a base on the nearby islands, while visiting the local ports to ask for donations in a very civilized and polite manner. Some of them turned out to be dead bodies useful as training dummies, which pleased me immensely. I also took in the rare view of a fast food restaurant regular being air-delivered fries. Alas, it was one fry too many, leading to an immediate demise from overeating, his foul, fetid farts ripping the lives of the innocents nearby. By turn 12, the training dummies took over the training grounds again. Meanwhile, I moved along on my journey. It was time to raid totally not South Korea. Despite mandatory military service, their numbers were pretty low. Maybe it was because too many soldiers were busy with K-pop gigs, or maybe, I don't know, because they were at war with totally not North Korea already as well. The game seemed to approve of my conduct, because I got some new subsidies for doing pirate stuff. So I decided to sail out. It really wasn't because of angry Chinese pretending to be Koreans coming to retake their capital. On the way, I met the training dummies again. They actually provide delivery service to the sea. However, it turns out they were heading to a different customer. Hey, it's the camper guy. How is he faring in the sea? Meanwhile, the angry, totally not Korean Chinese actually caught up to me. Let's see what they want. Well, they actually boarded my boat, mentioning some inspection. Of how big the ship is, I'm surprised they found me. Of course, my strong and totally not physical arguments that there were totally no loot or slaves on my ship were very persuasive, and they left while I wished them good health and a safe journey. Speaking of the camper guy, he went chasing the practice dummies into the sea sour. So I took it upon myself to check out how the kids he was protecting from bullying were doing and played with them for a bit. Well, the camper got jealous and wants to bonk me now. In the meantime, I also made use of the generous donations of kind souls met so far to continue developing the flag vessel of my peaceful non-profit organization. On my way out, I found the practice dummies again, with Mr. Nakai chasing them. I felt kind today, so I helped Nakai catch them. It totally wasn't because I would get paid 1k for killing them. Mr. Nakai didn't appreciate it and he started stalking me. And stalked me way south, being ready to even enter anime world to get me, but then I suddenly lost him. Did he meet some celebrity he couldn't resist meeting? I decided not to bother with the scaly stalker and instead started securing the islands, which would serve as my pirate base, with a freshly recruited army after handing it over to Lockyer. Some local residents protested, but I gently persuaded them that I would take better care of their homes, just like any good real estate developer. Perhaps satisfied with sightseeing, the damn stalker cracked his back. So, despite the low chances of getting through his thick skull, I took it upon myself to use the secret technique of ganging up on the opponent to gently explain to him that interspecies love works out only in sketchy hentai pics. With that done, I continued cleaning the new house, getting rid of more rats, totally not Chinese weeaboos, more fat greasy otakus, some ugly yokai smurf motherfuckers, and a bunch of mummies that escaped from a local museum. While I was cleaning, a blind person said he couldn't see my Christmas gift for him, and when I said that was because there was none, he got very angry. But I didn't care, because the only city close to him I had, I just hadn't bothered to abandon earlier, so he could have it. When I was the busiest cleaning the house, the fantasy version of the Siamese twins tried to change my units into chaos spawns for some reason. However, I had no units, so I basically got 3 units for free. At the same time, the blind person from earlier sent his minion to my new home. Yes, I think he's still looking for Christmas presents. This forced me to ignore the mournful cries of my accountants, as I recruited an extra army on one of my ships nearby to tell the blind guy that we don't have no presents for him. Now I'm wondering if that Singe guy predicted this and wanted to help me, giving me these units just a second ago. At the same time, Lockyer's crew went to get some generous donations from local weeaboos. With that, I completed my army and crushed the first enemy minion. But 2 more came. Curiously, Felix joined them. Was he a weeb all along? Does Gortrek know about this? Anyway, just as my new house was finally clean, well, almost, this blind dude somehow found his way to it with more sidekicks. To make matters worse, some traveling fairies made me their target.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And immediately attacked one of my settlements they then razed.
Thomas had never seen such bullshit before.
I had to quickly rush my main armies back north to counter. I stepped in some old skeletons. Yak.
Take everything!
The enemy kept circling like someone who had one drink too much. But the inevitable still came. I finally lost a city to them. Meanwhile, his other armies have been kind of chasing my navy for several turns, but he would soon come to regret that. Nothing else I could wish for. Just right for me to catch him. Oh, Felix the Whip was there too. I could auto-resolve it, but it was personal now.
Let the games begin.
While at it, I curiously discovered that while the number of using Black Arcs bombardments doesn't change the more Black Arcs you have, there's an exception. If you have one ship with low-level bombardments and another with high-level bombardments, you can actually use both, effectively doubling your bombardments.
Not bad, not bad.
As for the battle, perhaps not unexpectedly, the blind dude's tactics consisted in sending his troops in blindly, whereas my neatly formed armies were fighting in a proper organized manner. As such, I could meet one enemy army with 2 of mine and show the enemy what is pincer attack and why numbers matter. It seems spanking is addictive. After I spanked one army, the other came for its turn. Sure enough, it got spanked by me. Perhaps feeling the pressure, Blind Man turned into a dragon. But instead of relieving his troops, he started playing with a cat. Meanwhile, the hero Felix was engaged in a friendly spar with my Ballistes crew. To be frank, they were so irrelevant in this battle that I forgot they existed. By now, the battle was over. Unfortunately, the blind dragon dude refused to undergo my experimental crossbow acupuncture procedure and promptly went home. Now he suddenly didn't want the present anymore? Well, he got his dues as one of my horses tried to shake him on his way out. Rings a bell, anyone? After the battle, I realized that the true rats weren't Skaven, but the remnants of my enemy who took my city and kept being a nuisance. Just as I was about to finish them off, they disappeared. By the way, that Siamese guy really loves me. He's still giving me units. And again, he gave it to the same army, which was empty for a moment, so I got 3 units for free without any loss. Is this some sort of Sinchi love confession? Just as I finally reclaimed all the cities and was chasing the remnants of the ferries, I noticed Balthazar Gelt, the man with the most glittering makeup in the game, getting close to my territory. He's buddy-buddy with the blind man, so was he coming to get me? Nah, Gelt left, but there's something more annoying. The ferries, well, I stomp all over their hidden encampment, but they just won't fight me. See, they even moved the camp. Damn waste of
Thomas
time.
had never seen such bullshit before.
Fortunately, you can run once or twice, but you can't hide forever. I finally found the ferries after stomping over their camp 17 times, and I took profound satisfaction in auto-resolving the shit out of their ferry asses. Only 363 of them surviving, they kindly volunteered for some light work in nearby quarries to earn my forgiveness. Don't worry, it's not a life sentence, because they won't live out even half their actual lifespan. With the ferry menace gone, it was time to make friends with Balthazar Gelt.
I have a spell for that, you know.
By declaring war on him, raiding his city. Sorry, it's nothing personal. You are just part of my world tour. The best part is that Siamese guy was willing to pay me 3k to do it when I was going to do it anyway. As if a guy with a face encased in gold wasn't weird enough, there was also an old dude riding on a rocking horse. Maybe it was because they couldn't believe it was real shit, but my ballista crew traveled several hundred meters just to see him from up close. Or should I just give these guys an eye exam? I think it's official now, the Siamese guy is my simp. He's paying me 900 gold so that I can earn 800 gold every turn, and he only gets 100 gold every turn. Should I be happy or should I feel crept out?
Hello, I am patch 6.0 and I will change them up slightly and fuck up all your saves so much the game can't be loaded. You are welcome.
Well, things got fucked a lot. It's probably due to CA adding that one shit province in the place I used the mod to expand the map. I was afraid the updated mods wouldn't work properly if I rolled back the game version, so I just started over. This caused some changes. For one, I am now buddy-buddy with totally not North Korea. For two, Nakai became an illegal immigrant for over 20 turns in my territory before fighting me. 3. The mummies that escaped from the museum were cut and stuffed back in it before I met them. For 4, I actually got to control the same territory a whole 30 turns faster this time. Well, the homeless man didn't waste 10 to 20 turns for me this time. Seriously, what the fuck was I doing earlier? Anyway, the mess made by the patch was finally cleaned up. To celebrate it, I started the Vietnam War and attacked Taiwan. Someone must be jealous, I just know it. Taking over Taiwan turned into a small quarrel, but I skillfully used my negotiation techniques to acquire all their lands much faster this time, by turn 66. By the way, history likes to repeat itself. Once again I engaged Nakai with 2 armies, and once again, even if some of my troops might have died in the process, I whooped his ass. I swear I'm going to get nightmares if I have to get that hobo Nakai for the 3rd time. It was time to restart the journey, so I started assembling my world tour fleet. Just as I did, I found some Reds in Singapore. So I invited myself to their home and admired their collection of treasures. By the way, it's finally turn 70, so I matched the timelines, yet I have 3-4 times bigger territory. Was my first playthrough that retarded? Ah, and I forgot to mention it, but the Siamese twins are no longer simping for me. Maybe it's because they are a noob with one city now. Anyway, it's turn 80 and I have finally conquered all Kuresh, i.e. fake Indochina. A few more provinces and I will be able to fully equip my world tour fleet and truly focus on the travel. And so, it's time to invade Ind, a peaceful land of peaceful people who will soon be in my gentle employment. Here, unlike in Kuresh, we finally have a major faction dominating the landscape, which is Caravan of Blue Roses. You may wonder why a bunch of zombies and vampires have such a romantic name, but the answer is simple. This old tramp is a necrophiliac. It may come as a surprise, but this bastard is extremely wary of me and sees me as a menace. Geez, I wonder why. Well, then again, I am kind of the strongest faction in the game right now, and I'm amassing my armies near his land. Plus, I kind of just declared war on his neighbor and started pillaging his cities. Oh, the old pervert doesn't care about the last point, it's not there. Anyway, it doesn't matter, since I want most of his territory. Yes, old pervert, it's wise and easy. Meanwhile, it seems like I may have got a new simp. This rat's paying me to earn money. Or maybe it's because my conquests are starting to near his territory. Back to the war, the old pervert had no issues with sending a ton of zombies I easily killed at me multiple times. But when I made a naval landing in one of his ports, he personally arrived to lodge a complaint. He's sending one of his generals first while bravely reinforcing him from the rear.
What? That's the evilest thing I can imagine!
Such courage. The battle started in the most retarded layout possible. For the first time ever, my troops come to defend the city late, and come out from the most retarded location I have ever seen, while the remnants of my garrison are mining destroyed walls and the enemy is already charging in. I think even a Legend of Total War would struggle here. For some reason, the walls on one side are intact and Ghost's main army isn't in a hurry to attack. As such, I decided to stop sending my troops to delay him and first focus on deleting the original petitioner. Maybe I wouldn't be worried if not for the fact that I had 5 ballista units in a city with very complicated terrain and thus unable to shoot most of the time. Soon, of the first army, only the Lord was still furiously trying to hand in his petition, his minions dead. Oh, the original petitioner lost to bureaucracy. Oh, again, I actually got to use my ballistas. Well, some of them. Maybe it's because the enemy literally walked into them. Not sure if I should be glad or not. Are they even firing? My only hope was that I would win thanks to my better troops. The standstill continued, but this old perv just had to go and capture the victory point. If I don't make it in time, I will lose. Never mind. When I attack AI, I have to hold the victory cap point for a while to win. But when AI attacks me, they win instantly. Okay, seems legit. Or was it a change in the latest hotfix? Anyway, how dare that old pervert resist me? I was going to just take like 3/4 of his cities and leave him be. But now it's personal. I will not rest until I exterminate the last bit of his forces. And would you look at this? A few turns later, this old tramp actually came to me on his own. He's got over 2 armies, but it doesn't matter. What does matter is that I was in a raiding stance to avoid vampiric attrition, which will debuff all my units, but I think I will manage to win without losing any units. The battle started lightly. While most of my army was waiting for its turn, I used my skirmishers to inflict first losses on the enemy. This little prelude went very well, and I got rid of several expendable and 3 valuable enemy infantry units. Well, sometimes kiting went too well. Also, they got pretty much countered when the old dude sent his good boys and good girls after my skirmishers. Thus, our armies met head-on, which Lockyer celebrated by setting off fireworks. And then Lockyer went after the old perv's car. Remember, this is personal. Despite bringing his sidekicks with him like a typical bad rich old man, Gorst wasn't faring well. The end was predictable. Gorst got eaten by Lockyer's pet dragon. And so, after sustaining totally no losses, yes, totally, I finally cleaned up the old bastard. Here, let's celebrate turn 100 and conquering almost all I have wanted to conquer to pay for my circumnavigation of the world fleet with some drop of FPS. Fuck. Not only did the enemy army, which I was gearing to finish off, survive, but even the old perv somehow survived. Alright, you know the drill, guys.
Know your fucking place, trash!
By the way, Dark Elves sure are industrious. Not only do they sell the scraps after destroying the undead, they even enslave the walking dead? Sheesh. Oh, by the way, I attacked the City Isles area, and you know what? Now it's the enemy that has a retarded reinforcement point and walls full of holes. Suddenly I don't dislike this anymore. LOL. The AI guarding a wall I won't ever climb with holes all around looks hilarious. Of course, I easily won just by rushing the enemy downtown. Some of the cities I conquered are really useless to me, so I decided to sell them to local thugs. It's easy to get good money for cities, but for the first time ever, a guy told me to pay him to take a city from me?
Confusion of the highest order!
I don't even know what to say.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, on turn 103, my Siamese simp, who has finally gotten stronger and even has his own strong simp, has come back, giving me 3 units. Meanwhile, the old pervert has only 1 city and army left. What a better way to finish this chapter of my journey and to put him in his place, but to let Lockyer bunk him again. Bye bye, old perv, you won't be missed. And now, welcome to Dragon Isles, the last province I want to conquer. As you can see, I already have my vessels deployed next to each city. Well, this guy kind of likes me, but too bad, he's part of my world tour as a coastal faction. Of course, I easily blitzed the Isles. Well, I left 1 city alone, partly because it had too many defenders, and partly because I instantly cleared 98% progress for a rebellion in the Isles as I sacked each city. However, I got 23k gold in an instant, so it was worth it. As expected, the army camping in the city I left alone came out to engage me. Honestly, it was a pretty close matchup. Ha! Enemy army ran right next to my fresh army with full health. I wonder what will happen to them. But I have an issue. The man who feathered the discipline of eating shit in the world of Warhammer has seen what I've done to his home, and let me tell you, he wasn't amused. Oh no, he was coming, and he was ready to have a serious discussion with me about it. By the way, there's one guy who only has 1 port city that I was going to overlook on my looting war tour cause he was paying me money, if you remember. Well, guess what? That piece of ratatouille just ended the treaty we had, so I can now kick his ass. Nice. Actually, never mind that one port thing. Poor bastard just started conquering new ports I can raid. Yeah, I know these cities look as if they are ownerless, but this is just a Skaven thing. These rats hide their city's allegiance, and because they are the only ones in the game who do so, and they still spread Skaven corruption in the cities, totally nobody at all knows these cities belong to them. Back to the situation at hand, I managed to lure the ugly fatso out somehow. However, the game didn't rate my chances very highly. Well, if you asked me, the enemy heavy cavalry was the biggest issue. Honestly, the battle wasn't going great. My main plan was to snipe this shit-eating fatso, but my troops were found and impeded by enemy knights. I could only hope they will get the enemy lord on time, if at all. My troops finally caught up and started grilling the fetas, but it was too late. My army was already crushed. I guess that was the consequence of not upgrading your mid-tier army in the late game. Oh well, at least I got the bastard. It will take a few turns for luck here to recover, so I decided to send part of my fleet to do a warm-up for my world tour. Who can be a better target than the red bastard that just cut ties with me? The second city of his was a tough target, with several armies defending it, but this dumbass took one strong and one weak army to face my two armies at sea. Now raiding the city will be much easier. Well, the auto-resolve said I would lose units, so I had to crush the enemy personally. Meanwhile, I am still raiding Cathay and coast to get funds for my travel. I took down the only city of affection, and now I am selling it. And holy shit, Reds will pay me 51k gold for it. But I have a better plan. There's another one city faction nearby, which will give me 17k for the same city, so I will sell it to them, then declare war on them, and then take it down and sell it to the Reds for even more gold later. So, we retake the city, we sell it to the Ninja Ratatouille next turn, and now we will be fucking rich. The bastard spent his money and wouldn't have more than this, so I only got 34k. Back to the west, it's time for a revenge match against the sick, ugly bastard. I thought back to my previous defeat and realized that Lokir's army back then suffered from a severe deficiency of dragons, so I supplemented it before coming. The enemy started the battle by spawning an army in a forest right on top of my supposedly hidden unit, the caster, forcing me to retreat her. According to Legend of Total War, or at least I think it was he who said this, the AI can see everything on the map and ignores the hidden units until they are revealed, but sometimes it forgets that it's not supposed to see some units. Meanwhile, I started the battle by breathing acid fire on top of a whole bunch of men who probably haven't bathed once ever since they started worshipping Nergal, the god of not bathing and eating your own fecal matter. And then I did it again, killed some flies that kept bothering me, and then used Dragon Breath again. And once I ran out of Dragon Breath, it was finally time to land and show the ugly freak who ruled the blood. Man, this battle sucks. I had to sacrifice my crossbows and keep kiting the enemy army around the battlefield to get them to spread out and pick them off one by one. They turned out to be somehow tough enough to take on dragons head-on otherwise. The worst offender is that walking green turd. He has 15,000 health points, For comparison, Lockyer has half as much and can restore probably up to another 15,000 with his constant healing spells, forcing me to gang up on him. Not sure if I was affected by Nargle's sickness-spreading powers, but just thinking about this guy is making me want to puke. In the end, I killed that walking shit, but I had to send like 5 dragons to gang up on him and another 10 to engage his army to buy time simultaneously. You get it? Tons of dragons sent just to buy time. Just as I thought I would still have to risk classes taking care of the remaining miscreants, they started to die off due to the Lord's death. Finally, the enemy was defeated. Meanwhile, Ratatouille is back to beg me to give him a break. Maybe it's because I kept destroying his 4 armies that are protecting his second port one by one. Of course, he can go red himself. That aside, I finally finished securing all the provinces I wanted for now. So other than Lockyer, who will have to catch up, and 2 random ships I left on other duties, my fleet has assembled. It's time to finally start the world tour in earnest. Is what I would like to say, but this episode has been pretty long already. It's the first time I make this sort of video, so I failed to manage the duration of the video properly. Hehe. Therefore, we will take a break here and we will continue the journey in earnest the next time. That isn't because I want to joke. Anyway guys, please like and subscribe so that you can be notified when the part 2 comes out. It will probably take a few weeks, maybe a bit longer, so you are also very welcome to kill time watching my other videos. I promise to fit everything in one video next time. Cheers!